What's up, people? Joe Winko here, your favorite Hawaiian guy, and here's my next episode of Joe Winko Talk. So, this isn't going to be a gloomy episode of Joe Winko Talk at all, but it is going to be a personal one, but it's actually going to be a happy personal one. This episode of Joe Winko Talk is going to be about the time I went on a road trip to Arkansas. Well, when I was taken on a road trip to Arkansas by a stranger I met on Craigslist last summer. So, last summer was when I was living in Wisconsin, and as you all know, I really hate Wisconsin, and I've been wanting to get away and get out of Wisconsin. I really wanted to get out of Wisconsin forever, but I already have gotten out of there forever. Not quite the way I intended on getting out of Wisconsin forever, but I did nonetheless, so it definitely counts as something. And I was looking for someone to take me on a road trip to Arkansas because I really wanted to go to Arkansas and I really wanted to see Arkansas. And the reason why I wanted to go to Arkansas, I mean, what got me into Arkansas in the first place isn't a very happy story. Back when I was 19 years old, my adoptive mother was making me keep a job that I couldn't stand at all, so I was going to run away. And I posted an ad on Craigslist saying that I wanted to run away forever. And this guy told me he would take me to Arkansas, but he ended up not taking me. And if I would have went there, I would have died back then. But that was back in 2015. I did a whole video about that, and I have the link to the episode of Joe Winko Talk I did about that in the pinned comment. Anyhow, in 2017, finally found someone to take me to Arkansas, but he wasn't gonna leave me there for dead because that wasn't what I was intending. Although that definitely could have happened. Um, I really wanted to get away, and I started posting on Craigslist in January of 2017 in the rideshare section that I was looking for someone to take me on a road trip to Arkansas. And what um what I really wanted and still am looking for now, what I really wanted at first was like a lover or partner who likes to drive and go on road trips. So I don't have to go on road trips with strangers. But at that time, I just really wanted to get away. So that's why I posted in the rideshare section. I don't really recommend anyone doing that because that might be really dangerous and might turn out bad, but I did it anyway, but I don't really recommend for people to because it's not because most of the time you probably won't find anyone because it took me forever to find someone who would take me to Arkansas. I started posting the ad in January of 2017 and I kept refreshing it over and over again and I couldn't find anyone who would take me. Then finally, in um, in July of 2017, I finally found someone who replied to my ad, and he told me, "I don't know why you want to go to Arkansas so much, but I've been seeing your ad on Craigslist all year, and if you really want to go there, I'll take you." And then I told him, "Oh, okay, well then let's go." And he said, "Where in Arkansas do you want to go?" And I told him all the places in Arkansas that I wanted to go, and I have a whole map of where we went, and it's a tad bit inaccurate because we kind of took a detour like north of the highway. Let me show it to you guys right now. Here's the map. Okay, so in that map, you see where I used to live in Wisconsin, well, where he picked me up from. And you also see the places we went to in Arkansas and also Missouri. So that's the whole entire road trip. However, it is a tad bit inaccurate. Like around the lower part, that part right there, we didn't drive across that highway at all. We didn't go all the way down to Little Rock because we took a detour because I was gonna visit one of my high school friends who lives out in the Yellville area in Arkansas. So we actually took Highway 412 to get to where she was at. So that's the reason why. And I just remembered that while we were on the road trip, and I asked him if we could take a detour because I just wanted to stop off and see my high school friend, and he said, yeah. So, about the guy who took me on the road trip. Um, He told me that he was interested in taking me on the road trip, but he said that he saw my postings in the personal sections on Craigslist, and he told me, I saw your posting in the personal section on Craigslist. I'm just letting you know that I'm straight, like absolutely straight, not interested in doing anything sexual with you at all. And I sent him a message that said that I don't have any money, so I can't pay for gas. I was just going to give that as a heads up for him. And then he told me, it's okay, I already know. And I was like, oh, I look that broke? Okay, then. Um, he picked me up he asked me where I wanted him to pick me up. Like, I told him where I wanted to go, and he said that, okay, those look like okay, that seems pretty doable. When I gave him the addresses to all the places I wanted to go, because it wasn't like we were just driving to any random place. I chose all the places first before we went, and plus he was kind of on a tight schedule too. But well, that's what he was telling me. Like he didn't want to be gone for too long. But I was wondering why he wanted to take me. I didn't ask him that, but he said that he was just really bored and wanted to get away, but he had no idea where to go, which is the exact type of person I'm looking for, really. Someone who just wants to get away and drive, but who has no idea where to go. That's where I come in. So he picked me up from the parking lot, the abandoned grocery store parking lot, the same one that the other guy was supposed to pick me up from 2 years ago to take me to Arkansas to leave me there for dead. But instead, this guy picked me up in 2017 just to take me on a road trip to Arkansas. I wasn't planning on him leaving me there, and he didn't, so glad about that. What happened was I met up with him at around midnight, and I was a bit nervous. Like I didn't have much stuff packed up with me, but I was a tad bit nervous about going on a road trip with a stranger because I didn't even ask him for a face picture at all, and I didn't even know what he looked like. And I went to the parking lot at 1 a.m. and it wasn't 1 a.m., it was like around midnight actually. And I was dressed like the same way I'm kind of dressed right now in the bandana and everything. And I saw him parked there, and he wasn't driving a black van at all. But I got into the car with them, and like before I got in, I looked in the back seat to make sure there was no like he didn't have like an accomplice with them, like who was holding a knife and who was going to jump up and put a knife to my neck or anything. But he had two dogs with him, and they weren't big dogs, but they were like little Yorkshire Terriers. And he said, "Oh, I forgot to tell you, you don't mind dogs, do you?" And I said, "Of course I don't mind dogs. I love dogs." And then he said, "Oh, okay. Well, I just didn't want to leave them by themselves. So, is it okay with you if they come with?" And I said, "Oh, yeah, of course it is." So, when I saw the dogs, I thought, okay, this guy, he doesn't seem crazy at all. Because seriously, if you were planning to murder someone, why would you bring your cute little dogs with you before you kill them? Seriously, that makes absolutely no sense. And either way, I did have it keep in mind that was thinking like, oh, this guy might be a psychopath who's going to murder you. But you guys have to remember, I'm 22 right now, but at that time I was 21 years old. I'm also 6'3" and 145 pounds, and if someone's gonna murder me, they better do it really fast, because I would be punching and kicking and clawing and biting the whole entire time till I couldn't punch, kick, claw, or bite anymore. So I wasn't really afraid of anything, really. And plus, I don't fear death in the first place. So that was another thing. And plus, I was just really bored and wanted to get away anyway. So at least I tried. That's another thing I was thinking. So, I got in the car with them, and then we drove down to Arkansas, and like we drove down the highway, no, not highway, interstate 94 in Wisconsin, and then because I had my phone with me the whole entire time, and my phone has a GPS on it, and he wanted to avoid the toll routes, so I had the option to avoid the toll routes, So we drove there, and we drove through Chicago a little bit because we accidentally missed an exit, and we had to like detour and turn through Chicago a little bit. But we got back on the right way, and we were heading down south on Interstate 57. Yeah, that's the interstate we were heading on, Interstate 57, because that was the highway we took to Arkansas, and we were driving through Illinois, all the way down Illinois, and I didn't notice this at first, but Illinois is actually a very, very, very long state. It took us like forever to get through drive all the way down through Illinois, and by the time we got to Arkansas, it was around noon, so that's the time we reached the first stop I wanted to go to in Arkansas. The reason why I chose this stop is because I was looking at pictures of Arkansas online, and I saw the picture of there's the Welcome to Arkansas sign. It was north of Blytheville, I think I'm pronouncing it right, north of Blytheville, Arkansas, at the Missouri and Arkansas state line, right here. And there was also something really cool here. There was an arch built over the road that said entering Arkansas, and I really didn't feature that enough in my little video montage I did about me going to Arkansas, like of me walking over under the arch and everything. But now you guys get to see it for yourselves in this episode of Joe Winko Talk. I thought that was really cool, and also I was trying to show my shadow on the road too. And then when I got to the plaque thing that said that had the shape of Arkansas engraved on it, I started to walk away, but then I was like, "Hey, wait a second, that was a good shot. Let me turn back and look at that." But then I missed having my shadow on it, and I was kind of upset about that. But it was still fine anyway. And then I was just walking. It was outside of Blytheville, this part, when I was walking by that sign. And then when I was walking by the field and everything. And it was a lot of fun. It was really nice there and everything. And I never knew Arkansas it's really pretty, but it's part of the Mississippi Delta, the northeastern side of Arkansas. That's why the fields looked so lush and everything when we were driving through them. And I absolutely loved being there because the funnest part of a road trip is passing by everything and seeing the destinations and everything between you and the destination. That's the funnest part of a road trip. If I would have been flown there, I would have missed out on all that, and that would have sucked. So that's the reason why I like road trips instead, and that's the reason why I'm looking for a lover, a partner, a friend who should take me on road trips instead. So yeah, that's what I saw out there for that stop. So then, the first town we were driving through was Blytheville, Arkansas. I believe I'm pronouncing that right. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. Forgive me if I'm not. Blytheville, Arkansas. I'll have it typed somewhere. And the town, it was a pretty nice looking town. It seemed pretty diverse. Like in Milwaukee, like the city of Milwaukee is like really segregated. Like you see crowds of white people, you see crowds of black people. But in Blytheville, you see crowds of black and white people walking around. And as we were driving through Blytheville, it didn't look like a bad town at all. But after a while, it started to look sketchy. And there are bars on windows and everything. And I saw a couple thugs walking around. And I was like, oh, this place looks kind of sketchy. But I forgot to mention this earlier. Before we went to Paradise Gardens and while we were in Blytheville, we actually pulled over and stopped at the Family Dollar. This Family Dollar? Or, no, it wasn't a Family Dollar. It was a Dollar General. My bad. Yeah, you see, I saw a lot of those all over Arkansas. Dollar Generals everywhere. And the man who took me on the road trip to Arkansas, I asked him if he had $5 or $6 because I just wanted to go in there and get some flowers because I was planning to leave flowers by the graves of Patricia Ann Miles and the grave of William Norton in Joplin, Missouri. So he gave me $6 so I could go and buy flowers, but the flowers didn't cost $6. They were cheaper than that. But I gave him the change back though. and I told him I would give him the change back when I asked for it. So yeah, that's the Dollar Tree. That's the Dollar General that I went into. That one right there. So yeah, you see those all over Arkansas, and it was a lot of fun. I don't think I ever saw a Dollar General in Wisconsin at all. I think they might have them somewhere. I know they have Family Dollar, but I get mixed up between them. Then we got on the interstate I-55 to our next destination we were heading to. And you know, the funny thing was, while I was sitting in the car, like I was looking serious the whole entire time. Like if you watch that video montage I did, I look really serious in all the clips I recorded. But to be completely honest, that was all really just acting, because if you know the story behind why I became so fascinated and obsessed with Arkansas, you would know that it's not really a happy story. So that's the reason why I was looking all serious and everything. And he knew that I was filming a YouTube video there. So I told him that I was just going to do a couple shots of me sitting in the car looking serious, and he was like, "Oh, okay." And you know, the funny thing was, while we were actually driving, he was actually talking to me the whole entire time. He was like rambling about a lot of political stuff, and he was like a straight up 110% Democrat, definitely, which I have absolutely nothing against, because I actually am one myself, but I'm more of a 100% Democrat. He was 110% Democrat, really. And he had a bunch of Democrat stickers on the back of his car, and we were driving through Arkansas. And for those of you who are familiar with states in the USA, you can only imagine how that went. We had a lot of angry people passing us, like people would drive past us and everything. And you know, one guy actually gave us the finger, and both of us started laughing about that, really. And like, I was like, "Why is he giving us the finger?" And he said, "Oh, it could be because of the Democratic stickers I have on the back bumper of my car." And I was like, oh, well, that'll do it, especially driving through Arkansas. And we were cracking up laughing about that. He was actually really cool. He was a man in his 40s, some white man in his 40s, but he was really awesome though. But he definitely was straight though, because while I was sitting in the car with them, I had my shirt off in the passenger seat, and he was getting a bit squeamish because I wasn't wearing my shirt in the passenger seat. But he wasn't really being rude about it, but I can definitely tell that he was squeamish about me being shirtless in the car with him. And I thought it was a little weird that he was, but it doesn't matter. And his dogs were really cute also. I really liked the dogs. They weren't really hyper or anything, and they were Yorkshire Terriers, and I always thought that Yorkshire Terriers were really snobby and wouldn't want to be petted at all. But these dogs were actually really cute. I actually had one of them on my lap for a little while, and they were so cute. There were two of them. And we were driving through Arkansas. Next was the cemetery in Arkansas, Paradise Gardens Cemetery. And I actually thought that Paradise Gardens Cemetery was going to be the cemetery that I would have been buried at if I would have ran away and died in Arkansas back in 2015. So that's the reason why I wanted to go there, because I wanted to do a video of me there. And there was another clip I recorded at that cemetery while I was there that I must have accidentally deleted it, because I was walking around saying, or I probably didn't accidentally delete it. I probably just forgot to record it, because I was walking around saying that, I remember recording and thinking I was recording and saying that, somewhere in an alternate timeline, I really am buried at this cemetery in Paradise Gardens. And it was actually a really beautiful cemetery. And I left flowers by Patricia Ann Miles' grave. She was the girl who was murdered by her babysitter. I did an episode of Chilling Crimes about that. We went to the Paradise Gardens Cemetery, and when we were there, I couldn't find Patricia Ann Miles' grave at all. And I was trying to search for it myself, but that cemetery is huge, and I was walking around looking for him, and like, he was parked adjacent to the cemetery, the man who took me to Arkansas. He was parked adjacent to the cemetery. I was looking for the grave the whole entire time, and I couldn't find it. And I eventually went back to his car, and then he told me that one person drove by him and told him that he didn't belong there at all. He said, "I think that might be an African American cemetery." And I was like, "What? What makes you say that?" Because I didn't know it was an African American cemetery at all. And he said, "Because this one black guy, this is what he said. He said, "This one black guy drove by me and told me that I don't belong here at all." And I was like, "Oh, really? Oh, I'm sorry." And then I didn't want him to feel uncomfortable. So I said, and there was actually like a through the cemetery, like a driving path, and I said, "Oh, well, you can just follow me in the cemetery with the car. It's fine. There's a driving path there." And he said, "Oh, okay." So he was following me, and I told him I couldn't find the grave at all. So my cell phone signal wasn't very good, and I figured out where to find the grave because I looked it up, and eventually, I found Patricia Ann Miles' grave, and he took a picture of me leaving flowers by her grave. This picture. And that was right after I filmed the video of me leaving flowers at her grave and everything. And I also recorded some shots of me walking around her grave and everything. So, I think the next place we went to was this. I'm not sure if that was before or after. Yeah, that was Black Oak, Arkansas. That was another town that I found on Google Street View, on Google Maps, Black Oak. I wanted to go there because the Arkansas highway signs, I wanted to feature those in my video montage I made, but I didn't. But I did feature some of me walking around the town. It was this abandoned like town, kinda. Like there are people living there and there are houses and everything, and the houses looked pretty nice. But like the little shops were kinda like rotted out a little bit. And they had like sketched on the walls, "Rebuild Black Oak, Arkansas." And my gut was telling me that something really bad happened there. And for some odd reason, I felt really uncomfortable while I was walking through there. Like, I was thinking, okay, something really bad happened here. And I really think another possibility to why I was feeling that way could be because I forgot to take my psych medication right away that morning. But I eventually did when I got back in the car, though. And I don't know, it just felt really gloomy. There was also a cemetery by there too that I featured in my video montage or whatever you want to call it that I walked by briefly. And another weird thing happened while I was there. This man drove by me, this guy, and I knew he was local to the area because you can tell who's local to Arkansas because of the way they talk. He was like, "Hey, buddy, are you okay?" And then I was like, "What?" And he said, I saw you walking around. Looked like you were in trouble or something. You need help or anything?" And I told him, "Oh, no, I'm fine." He said, "Oh, where are you from?" And I told him that I was from Wisconsin. And I said I was just visiting. And he said, "What? What brought you here?" And I said, "Oh, I saw this place on Google Street View and I just wanted to come here." He was like, "Oh, well, we don't get that very often." And then he just said goodbye and he drove off, and he thought it was weird that I wanted to go to Black Oak, Arkansas, cuz I don't know. That's what it seemed like. But it was really nice being there. The people in Arkansas are really nice too. Like, the thing was, I right after that happened, I thought about if I would have ran away to Arkansas back in 2015, and if he would have found me on the road back then, like dying of no insulin and really sick and weathered. Wonder what he would have done, really. I mean, what I thought was that people would just drive by and ignore me, but he definitely didn't. And it made me think, really. But yeah, he was really cool though. Um, then after that, the next place we went to was it was like Nellie, Missouri, but it was the state line of Missouri and Arkansas. It was outside of Nellie, Missouri, It was the State Line Motel, and we didn't stay a night there at all. But I just wanted to go there because there was another Welcome to Arkansas sign that I wanted to film. And that was like at the state line of Clay County, Arkansas. And it was really cool going there. And I remember that was also the place where I filmed the YouTube video of me saying that I was in Arkansas and that it looked the exact way I imagined, because it really did. It was like green and country, and it was really pretty and everything. And I definitely did get the country vibe with being there, and a man from Craigslist did take me there too, so yeah. And as we were driving, after I got done filming those clips there, he was parked at a gas station, like right across the street while I was filming those clips. He drove me down to this, like while we were driving, like I saw this other place, like it was like a rest stop, and it had a flag of Arkansas, on it. And I told him, I saw it while we were driving there, but I told him, "Can we go to would it be all right if we stopped off at that for a little bit?" And then he said, "Yeah." So we stopped off there, and I got out, and then like I filmed the flag of Arkansas, and then I also had my this isn't what I filmed it with, but just pretend this is my iPod Touch. I had my iPod like that, and I was filming like me looking up at the flag, and I was trying to make it look all dramatic and everything, and cinematic and everything, so it'd go good with the video montage. And it worked out perfectly and turned out really good. You know, the funny thing was, I actually used that as the cover image on my Facebook, on Facebook too, on my personal Facebook page. That's what I meant to say. Yeah, Arkansas was really nice. So next thing was at that point, I remembered that my high school friend lived in Arkansas, and I was like, "Oh yeah, she does live here." And then I got in touch with her and I asked her, "Hey, I'm going through Arkansas right now. Do you want us to stop by and visit you for a little bit?" And she said, "Oh yeah, sure." So that's where we ended up not going through Little Rock instead, because I didn't really want to go to Little Rock. Not that I have anything against Little Rock, Arkansas. It's just that I just wanted to go tour the country parts of Arkansas. And I went, well, the route we took was Highway 412, US Highway 412. That's a it's not an interstate, but it's a white sign. I mean, a white shield. A blue shield is an interstate. A white shield is a highway that's not an interstate. Hard to explain, but I hope you guys are getting it. So we took Highway 412. We went through Pocahontas, Arkansas, and around there it started to get like really hilly, and it wasn't like flat and green. It started to get hills and everything. We started going through there, and then eventually I started noticing mountains, and they weren't like extremely tall mountains, but they were pretty tall. And we started driving through mountains, and it looked all steep and everything, and I was like, "Whoa, is this?" And I was checking my phone and my GPS because I was seeing, okay, did we accidentally make a detour out of Arkansas? And I didn't know Arkansas had mountains. I always thought that Arkansas was just really flat and really green. And it was really pretty, but I didn't record enough of that trip because I was running out of space on my iPod to record more stuff with, because I have so many pictures on my iPod. Most of them are cock pictures, but like I had so much stuff on my iPod already, so that's why I didn't get a chance to record so much. But I did record quite a bit. I recorded us driving through the mountains a little bit, and I remember passing a town called Mountain Home, and it was beautiful there. I loved the mountains and everything. Then passing another town called Yellville, Arkansas, and then eventually, after we passed Yellville, because we stopped off and we visited my high school friend, because she lives like out in the middle of nowhere. She doesn't live in like any town or anything. And it was a lot of fun, and I told her that I was there, and I told her that a friend from Craigslist brought me. I told her that a guy I met off Craigslist took me there, and I introduced them and everything, and she started laughing at me because I went to high school with her, so that didn't surprise her at all, really. But yeah, that was a lot of fun. And afterwards, we passed a town called Viola, Arkansas. I'm not sure if we passed that town before or after Mountain Home on 412 because we were heading east to west. Then we started passing more stuff. We passed the Boston Mountains of Arkansas, and those mountains were beautiful. But oh, another thing I forgot to mention. Before we passed through Mountain Home and Viola and Yellville, we also went across Highway 412, and I think it's called the Twin Lakes. There are these lakes up in the mountains in Arkansas, and there was a beach there too, and it was absolutely beautiful. I have some footage of that right here, cause my the guy who took me there, he said, "Oh, we're coming up on a lake," and I was like, "Oh yeah, we are coming up on a lake," and because I saw it on the GPS, but then when I saw it like for real, I was like, "Oh wow, that's beautiful." So that's when I pulled out my iPod Touch camera and started filming it, and there was a bridge that goes across the lake, and I filmed all that, and it was so beautiful, and they actually had a beach there too. And one of my biggest regrets is not asking him to pull over at the beach and not asking him to stop at the beach for a couple minutes, because I would have loved to go to that beach. I really want to go back there. That was the beautiful thing, most beautiful thing ever, that beach and everything up in Arkansas, because I never even knew Arkansas had any beaches, but it does. And well, I figured they probably do if they have like a lake or something. But it was really pretty and everything. And yeah, like when I go to the beach, I never really swim in the water at all. I honestly just go there to take a bunch of selfies, and that's it. That's the reason why I'm running out of space on my iPod. But it was beautiful, and I really want to go back to that beach and the way they had the lake and the mountains and everything, because those mountains that we were passing through, the guy who was taking me through them, he was like, "Oh, these must be the Ozark Mountains," and I was just like, "Ozark Mountains," and he said, "Yeah, this is where they are." I had no idea what state they were in, because I didn't know they had mountains that close, like Arkansas and Missouri. Usually, when I think of mountains, like back when I was living in Wisconsin, usually I thought that mountains were like really, really far away, like all the way out in California and all the way out in Montana. Like northern Wisconsin, it does kind of have like mountains in a way, but they're not really. They don't look as high as the Ozark Mountains, even though I did check the elevation between Wisconsin and Arkansas. Wisconsin is actually at a higher elevation than Arkansas. I didn't know that, but it is. But like it didn't really seem like we had mountains or anything. But Arkansas does have mountains, and I thought it was beautiful driving through them and everything. And they weren't as high as the mountains out in Montana or anything like that, but they were pretty impressive and they were really big. And while we were driving through there, my cell phone stopped working because the mountains kind of blocks out the signal a little bit, and I was kind of frustrated with that, but I didn't really care though because we still knew which direction to go, just stay on Highway 412. And yeah, it was a lot of fun. So the next place we went to after that, after we stopped and visited my friend around that area, between like the Yellville area of Arkansas and Alma, Arkansas, me and the man who took me to Arkansas on the road trip, we stayed a night at a motel. We didn't share one bed, but we had two separate beds. And we slept in the room together, but we had two twin beds. We ordered a double bedroom, like, well, not a double room, but two beds. And he took this picture of me holding his dogs, this one. I loved those dogs. Those dogs were so cute, and I never took a road trip with dogs before, but those ones were so adorable. The next place we went to was Alma, Arkansas, and Alma, Arkansas was the town that Morgan Nick went missing at, and I felt really bad for her, and I wanted to go to Alma, Arkansas to film a video there. But I wasn't really, I don't know why, but I wasn't really feeling very comfortable when I went there because I had this feeling like I shouldn't be there at all. I was sensing this feeling that like I wasn't welcome there at all and that I shouldn't be there. I don't know why. It could have been because my blood sugar was off or something. And I just recorded like a short video of me there. I didn't really post it at all because I'm not sure why I didn't post it. But like in my video montage, you can see briefly a short clip of me looking out at the baseball field where she went missing at. And I just got this really gloomy and really bad feeling about being there, really. And it was still fun being going on a drive and going on a road trip and everything to Arkansas, but I just got a gloomy feeling about being there after a while. And that same day I like after we were there and after I filmed the video and everything, I'm if I can dig it up, I'm gonna post it though. We started to drive north because next that was all the places in Arkansas that I wanted to go to. And also another thing I forgot to mention was when we were going to Joplin from Alma, Arkansas, like I have the GPS because I was the navigator the whole entire time. Like, well, it was actually Google Maps on my phone. And my phone is a touchscreen. And I don't know how this happened, but somehow I accidentally moved to the route a little bit. You know how you can like rearrange a route in Google Navigations? I accidentally moved it a little bit, and I accidentally dragged it east, and like we were heading, well, it dragged it west, and we were heading west, and I was like, why are we still heading west? Shouldn't we be heading north? And then I checked again and I was like, oh, oops. And I was like, oh, I'm sorry. I accidentally dragged it west. And then he was like, oh, you dragged it west? And I said, yeah, let me just get it on the back on the right track. I'm sorry about that. And luckily, he was cool with it. We didn't go that far out of the way. And he said, oh, no, it's cool. Cause, we didn't even go, like, cause if we would have kept driving that wrong direction, we would have ended up in Oklahoma, but we didn't even go as far as Oklahoma. We ended up in Granite, Arkansas, because I accidentally like dragged the route. But you know that's a mistake I'm never gonna make again. You gotta make sure to stay on the right route and make sure that your touchscreen doesn't goof up and drag you into another direction. But we got to Joplin, Missouri on the same day perfectly fine on the second day. And next we were going to go to Joplin, Missouri because I wanted to visit Joplin, Missouri because I was really. Because around that time, a psychic told me that I was going to be killed by a tornado in April 2016. She said I was going to be killed by a tornado. And I knew at that time that it wasn't going to happen because my adoptive parents were sending me down south to live with their relatives, and I was like mostly because of what the psychic told me. And but I was still like afraid of tornadoes and everything though, and I wanted to go to Joplin, Missouri to film a video of me at the Joplin Memorial Park in honor of all the victims. And I kind of explained this in another episode of Joe Winko Talk, the one I did about William Norton, because I wanted to visit William Norton's grave too. We went to Joplin, Missouri, and I did the video at the Memorial Park. And as I said in that episode of Joe Winko Talk, I didn't feel like I was being very respectful, like because I just felt really nervous there, really the whole entire time at the Memorial Park, really. But it was still a lot of fun going there, and it was still a lot of fun seeing it, though. And I'm glad I did go there. I definitely don't regret it, and I'm definitely glad I did go there because I wanted to film a YouTube video there to memorialize all the people who died in the Joplin tornado. And you know, it's definitely something I would do again. I honestly been wanting to go back to Joplin. Like it's not like a major priority, but that was one of the other places I wanted to road trip back to, just to redo that video and just film it more etiquetely. Like, because I was just really nervous and I was like, oh my gosh, I'm actually here. This is actually where it all happened. And this is where 150 people died in a tornado that killed all of them. But I'm really glad I went there. And when we went to the cemetery in Joplin, Missouri, and I left flowers by William Norton's grave, I felt like I felt very glad to be there, and I felt like I'm very glad I went here. I felt that way the whole entire time, honestly. Even while I was nervous, I still felt that way. But when I went to William Norton's grave, I felt like I should be doing this because, you know, if I was killed by a tornado, I would want people to visit my grave, and I would want people to post videos of themselves visiting my grave and to memorialize me too and make sure I wasn't forgotten. And I felt like William Norton would have wanted that too. So that's why I wanted to go to his grave, and that's why I wanted to leave flowers by his grave. And I'm very glad I did, because he definitely doesn't deserve to be forgotten. And he deserves to be remembered. That's the way I should word it. He deserves to be remembered. And he deserves for people to know what happened to him and who he was and everything. So I'll have the link to his channel in the pinned comments and the link to all of his videos. And that was the last destination. So after that, it was back to Wisconsin then. And then after that, we were driving back home afterwards. And then we drove through Missouri, straight through Missouri. And the ride home wasn't that far, really. Not nearly as far as the ride to Arkansas. It seemed like it was shorter getting back there. But we drove through St. Louis, Missouri, and the city of St. Louis, Missouri, it looked kind of sketchy, really. It looked like a really sketchy city. And the traffic was kind of bad. And we did pass the arch, and I did get to see the arch, but we didn't stop at the arch. We were just driving past it, and we were going across the bridge that crosses the Mississippi River. And it was beautiful. And the Mississippi River is really big, too. Forgot to mention that earlier, because that was our second time crossing it, because we crossed it before to get from Illinois to Missouri, but now we were crossing it to get from Missouri back into Illinois, and it's really big, and we were crossing it at night the second time, and it was beautiful. And the man who took me to Arkansas, he didn't know the whole backstory behind why I was so obsessed with Arkansas. And while we were driving back to Wisconsin through Illinois, I actually told, like, we were talking to each other, and, like, eventually it came up somehow. I told him the reason why, because my adoptive mother was making me keep a job that I couldn't stand at all, so I tried to run away, and then a stranger on Craigslist said he would take me to Arkansas, and that's how I became so fascinated with Arkansas, and I told him about that, and he actually, I thought I was going to freak him out, and I probably did freak him out a little bit with telling him that story, because he went quiet for the rest of the trip, really. Like, he wasn't really saying anything, or he could have just been tired from driving so much. But, like, he didn't really say that much after I told him that story, but he did say that it kind of concerned him that I was at a point that bad in my life that I was actually going to do that, because like he understood that I wouldn't have survived at all because I wouldn't have had any insulin if I became homeless in Arkansas. And he said that he was glad that he took me on the road trip and that he helped me get away and everything, because I also told him that the psychic told me I was going to die in the tornado and that I wanted to get away because I couldn't stand being in the apartment in Wisconsin at all. And then he said that he was glad he could help, and he was glad he took me on the road trip and everything. And the reason why he took me on the road trip was because he was just really bored and wanted to get away, but he didn't want to go by himself, and he had no idea where to go either. So that's why he took me. And he said that the trip was really fun too. And it was a really fun trip. We completed that whole entire trip in like that whole entire trip. We completed the whole trip in less than 60 hours. So it wasn't even that long. we only stopped for one night, but we didn't get home till because a really bad storm came in through Illinois and Wisconsin, and I was getting thunderstorms and tornado warnings on my cell phone. I didn't tell him that because I didn't want him to be uncomfortable, and that's the yeah, that's definitely the reason why he was being quiet throughout the rest of the trip, really, because he had to concentrate on driving through the rain and everything. But I didn't know it was gonna rain, so I probably should have looked that up. So yeah, but it's all right. We made it home perfectly fine. I made it home perfectly fine. I'm sure he did too. And we did text a little bit afterward, but it was just like really small talk and everything. And eventually I lost contact with him because he actually got married. He started dating a girl and they got married and everything. And plus, like, I was moving down south and I was going to be really far away from him and everything. So we couldn't get together for another road trip at all. But it was a lot of fun. I loved going to Arkansas. It was really pretty, and I'm really glad I went there too. And I really want to go back to Arkansas because I really just went through the northern part of Arkansas, but I want to go and explore the southern part of Arkansas too, and around the central region of Arkansas. It's a pretty state. It's called the Natural State, and I thought it definitely is a very interesting place to live. Like you have lush green fields to high mountains and everything. Not as high as the mountains out west, not as high as the Rocky Mountains, but the Ozark Mountains are pretty nice. They go from Missouri and Arkansas. That's where they are. And I remember one person told me that the reason why the Ozark Mountains aren't as high as the mountains out west is because they're an older mountain system and they wear down over time. And the ones out west are newer. And you know, that actually surprised me because I thought the Ozark Mountains were a younger mountain system. That's why they aren't as high as the mountains out west. So, I don't know. Another thing was he told me, the man who took me to Arkansas, he mentioned the New Madrid fault zone and that there was an earthquake in Missouri that stopped the Native Americans from helping fight a war of 1812. And I didn't know that Missouri could get earthquakes, but that's what he said because the New Madrid fault zone. But that's a whole nother story I'm not going to really explain right now with the New Madrid fault zone. But that's all he mentioned about it, really. But I thought that was kind of interesting. It was a fun trip. So that's basically it. So don't forget to like, don't forget to comment, don't forget to subscribe, and don't forget to like me on Facebook and follow me on Twitter, Instagram, and Tumblr. So that's it. Peace out, people.